couldn't leave, and so.
Gotcha.
But we took her a gift over yesterday.
Gotcha.
She was all excited that I would actually come to the house. So,
Of course.
but I called Melissa and let her know. So,
Gotcha.
but with the crowd that was out there, they didn't know where I was there.
There was a huge crowd.
That's
There
what
was a huge
I
crowd.
knew it was going to be.
Yeah. What was I going to tell you? I pointed out both of our signs in the bar.
Huh?
I pointed out both of our signs in the bar to the various young people. They were very impressed.
Yeah, we really hated missing that. But we didn't get out of here until about 8:45.
Gotcha.
I got started at 5 o'clock on Friday morning, and I told Terry, I said, I don't think I'd be very good company out there if I go out there now. So
It was a good time. I'm sure how Food Truck Friday go. I'm sure it was a good time too.
it was good.
Yeah.
I just didn't have as big a crowd
Yeah.
as we would have hoped to, but it's because all the competition from Westfield.
Sure. Yes. Graduation.
Well, that's just, anytime you're around graduation, that's just even ours. Our graduation's not till next weekend, but a lot of people did their graduation parties this past
Yeah.
weekend because next weekend's Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
A lot of people are out of town, you know?
Roberto, hey, Doc, how are you?
What's up, my man?
His mic's on, isn't it?
Oh,
Terry?
but it was predominantly vocabulary.
Good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock. At this time, I'll call the work session for the Perry City Council for Monday, May the 18th, 2026 to order. We do have a quorum. Item 3 on our agenda are citizens with input. Is there any citizen here this evening that would like to address mayor and council at this time? Yes, sir. If you'd come forward and give us your name and address.
Evening. My name is James Aston. My address is 143 Silverside in Perry. It's in the Greystone subdivision, up the way about 3 miles. First, I would like to say thank you to the city. You all took over the retention pond, and grateful for that. And you all been maintaining it a whole lot better than it was ever maintained by Clay. You all done a great job. I thank you for that. Okay. Second is that, as I understand, you all are working on your budget for the upcoming year.
Yes, sir.
You said yes, right? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to address that. Okay. Prices have gone up in everything. Okay. And quite frankly, the simple thing is prices go up, and it's very easy for you all to say, okay, we will pass it on, and you all will get them. Do I got 2 minutes? Or no, I got 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay. But I want to tell you, I went to the grocery, and my groceries have gone up about every time about $100. You know, 2 months ago, I got a $500 grocery at Walmart, and that same thing just a few months before would have just been over 300. It was like, whoa. Okay. Just a couple of weeks ago, I filled up my SUV. It's got great gas mileage, but I filled it up, and it was $60 plus, and it hadn't been that way ever. It's 2 years old. It gets great gas mileage, so it does good, but my prices are going up. My income is not. Okay, and so I would ask that you truthfully consider that, because I have a lot of other people in my subdivision, and they're in the same boat. And I know some of them are worse boat than I am. I know some have had their children moving back in. Okay, so we all are having to pay more and getting the same stuff. And I would just ask that when you consider it, you all got the brains and stuff, prioritize and think what you can. I know your people, they got to be taken care of too. But we have to all be taken care of. And so I ask for you to take that in consideration.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. If you'd come forward and give us your name and address.
Good afternoon. Terry Toussaint is my name. Proud Army veteran.
And your
address?
address?
I'm sorry.
Address?
I got this spiel that I always
Okay.
before I introduce myself. But yeah, I'm 133 Kingston Village Drive.
Okay.
And you're familiar with that
Yes, sir.
neighborhood. Nevertheless, Army vet retired off of Robbins 4 years ago. And to piggyback.
Please address your comments to
Oh, I am.
the chairman. Just
I
talk
am,
to-
but I just echoing with, piggybacking off this gentleman here because I deliver prescription drugs and grocery for customers in this neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
That's what I do. So when I hear him say something like that, I know what he's talking about because I see the prices every day. But nevertheless, I digress. I made a call on the 1st to utilities. The line between my house, the meter and the road. The neighborhood's flooded. I've got the video here to show you. It's, my area, the three homes where I stay. And it was saturated with water for about two weeks, at least from the 1st to about the 11th. I made the second call. On the 12th, you guys came out and cut the driveway in a couple of places and dug up the yard in a couple of places. And when they backed the truck up onto my driveway, because the ground had been saturated with water for so long, boom, it cracked again. They put the crush and run in the holes to patch it. And that area over there, who's my representative for that area?
All of them are.
Well, when I say, I know the city is divided up into sections or whatever, council districts. And it's over by Morningside Elementary. Amy, pleasure. If someone could just ride by, like I said, I have the video, I can send it to you. Someone could just come by my place and take a look at it. Again, I appreciate the repair, but now it's ugly. And my HOA representative, she would have been here, but nevertheless, she says, just let them know because they walk the neighborhood every day. And I have damages. And I appreciate the workers. I'm a former public works sanitation supervisor for the city of Fort Valley from 2006 to 2010. I worked up under Stumbo, Mayor Stumbo, and a member of the Solid Waste Association of North America, SWANA, Georgia Municipal Association. So I get it when it comes to public works. I just want someone to just come out and take a look at it and let me know how can we meet somewhere at a happy median.
Okay. We'll have, city manager will take it under advisement to have somebody come out and meet you out there and look at the situation as it's.
And the city manager is who?
Robert Smith.
Mr. Smith, pleased to meet you, sir. I always say if you don't do politics, politics will do you. So I'm trying to get engaged. And seeing your faces here, if you all have received grocery or prescription drugs from CVS or Walmart, I'm one of the guys that does that. Now that I'm retired, I do that to stay active and stay busy and keep my noggin right. I served during the Iranian hostage crisis in 1980 under Carter. I watched Carter leave and Reagan come in. Operation Eagle Claw, the rescue mission. I'm one of those old farts.
Thank you.
Well, we thank you for your service, and we will.
I thank you all for the time. And this feels good because I'm seeing some people I haven't seen before in this capacity. What can be wrong with this? And again, I thank you for your time. And you need my number or something? What do you need from me?
Yes, sir, that'd be good.
I appreciate it. You all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address mayor and council this evening? Thank you. Item 4, items for review and discussion. 4A is Economic Development Department. 4A1 is the Jernigan Street Small Area Plan. Ms. Hartley?
Thank
welcome.
you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this evening I wanted to go over with you all the results and recommendations from the Jernigan Street Small Area Plan. We began with this plan very similar to the Northside Drive Small Area Plan that you all saw in 2025. We begun with this in February of 2026, just earlier this year, with a stakeholder meeting. A letter was sent to all of the property owners and business owners in the plan area, which I'll show you all the parcels in just a moment, but you also have the full document as well. And then from there, we had our stakeholder meeting here in February, followed by stakeholder meetings with the Main Street Advisory Board, Downtown Development Authority, and the Historic Preservation Commission, as all of them are key stakeholders into the future growth and development of this Jernigan Street area. So I wanted to go through with you all the plan process, the discussions we had, the results that came about from that, and then as well as some implementation strategies for you all to consider. And then I know this item is again on your agenda for tomorrow night for a formal resolution. So happy to answer any questions as we go through this general presentation now. So the plan area consists of 17 parcels. Why did we choose this plan area? Because there is increasing development and interest in the area, just as there was with the Northside Drive Small Area Plan that we did. Then also this is a visible corridor on the south side of downtown as people enter into downtown from the fairgrounds. So we also review the current zoning and land use of the area to figure out what's happening here, what could happen here in the future. There's some vacant properties. There's a lot of properties in transition here, specifically, obviously, the new Perry Hotel property, now to be Morris Bank, but also the backside of that property is to be determined, as plans have only been submitted for the front half for the bank building. And then there's also the transition of the Mason Tractor shop, because they vacated that, and that building is currently for sale or for lease. And then there's the brewery, the Left the Pig Brewery, that's currently under construction. Some of the houses on Roughton Street were recently demolished and taken down, so there's vacant property back there. There's just been a lot of interest in things that have been shifting in this area, so we want to make sure that we're planning for that future growth, future development, and what could also be controlled and thought of when it comes from a design connectivity standpoint as well. So the focus areas that we paid more attention to for this plan area was connectivity and walkability, public spaces and beautification, extending the downtown experience, and also design and character. These are the same focus areas of the Northside Drive area plan as well. As properties are going through transition and areas experiencing transition and growth, we, being staff as well as our boards, thought these were the utmost priority. So these were our focus areas of discussion for all of our stakeholder meetings. And then one focus area that you'll see a little bit later was infrastructure. And that focus area came out of the stakeholder meeting where there were some property owners that brought up concerns of the current infrastructure and how there's some flooding concerns when we get a lot of heavy rain. So we wanted to make sure that that was addressed as well. So when we do our activity, after we go through the focus areas and have a little bit of discussion, we then turn it over to the attendees at the stakeholder meeting or the board or committee meeting that we met with and shared this plan with. And we gave each attendee $5,000 in monopoly money and asked them to distribute those funds or that fake monopoly money among 4 different project categories. In this case, it was sidewalks and crosswalks, parking and road improvements, public spaces, and infrastructure. Like I said, infrastructure was going to come up based on that first stakeholder meeting. And so we did this with our stakeholder group and all of our boards and authorities that also were stakeholders of this. So there you can see the activity results for the public meeting, the Main Street Advisory Board, the DDA, and the HPC, and then the average of all groups. Infrastructure was the #1 priority. Many of our stakeholder groups and our boards and authorities said, well, if the property owners are saying that infrastructure is a problem, that needs to be addressed before anything else. And then sidewalks and crosswalks, specifically connecting across Main Street to Jernigan Street. And then parking and road improvements, and then just general public spaces and beautification was set as priority #4. So from that, staff prepared some implementation recommendations that I'd like to share with you all this evening. So the first being to require all future development to comply with the area stormwater basin study as required by engineering staff for site plan review. So once that stormwater basin study comes back to the community development office and the engineering office, and they have their plan set forth for recommendation, any sort of development or future developments would need to comply and be in compliance with that stormwater basin study. Number 2, ensuring that there is a visible, safe, and legal way for pedestrians and vehicles to cross Main Street to access Jernigan and those Main Street businesses. Through some of the discussions, we had both a DDA member and a property owner along Jernigan Street say, yeah, yes, pedestrians need to cross that, but also visibility is not great when you're trying to exit Jernigan Street and turn coming this way towards us off of Jernigan Street. There's some visibility concerns. So wanted to make sure that that was addressed for vehicles and pedestrians. Number 3, develop engineering plans for sidewalk connectivity, street lighting on Jernigan Street and Main Streets, and of course that also comes with allocating funding for those connectivity upgrades, the brick sidewalks and street lighting as private development occurs, which is the current process that we've been seeing following. After private development, we go in with public investment for sidewalks, crosswalks, and street light lighting. Yes, sir.
Number 2, as far as vehicles crossing Main Street to access Jernigan and Main Street businesses, are you talking about vehicles going, that would be south?
Directly across Main Street.
Because that is true. I have to cross the crosswalk and pass the crosswalk and almost get into the intersection to see because of bushes and
yes,
stuff. So.
And that's the visibility concern that was brought up when we were drafting this document.
Thank you.
Number 4, explore possible public-private partnerships to support the green space near Moody Law and prepare to possibly receive the green space as a donation once private investment for public space is complete. So as a part of these parcels in plan area, I have spoken with Rebecca Moody at Moody Law down on Jernigan Street, and she has a green space next to her law office, and she shared with me her future plans to wanting to do some sort of commemorative passive walking green space that she has partnerships, and she also has a nonprofit that she manages that she wants to dedicate that a space to. But once she dedicates it and builds up that space, maybe it would be the appropriate time for the city to maintain that as a public green space for downtown, thinking long range planning. Number 5, encourage cohesive zoning with other properties in the planned area to C3. So if we go back to the existing zoning and land uses, while a handful of that is C3, there's also a handful of properties that are M2, which is industrial. C3 zoning would allow for more permissible uses, more variety of uses in the downtown district, so supporting property owners through that transition if they wish. And then number 6, the Main Street Advisory Board and DDA to coordinate the expansion of key downtown placemaking initiatives. This includes landscaping, park benches where applicable, the banner program that we have throughout downtown, and just those other key placemaking elements to ensure that the Jernigan Street corridor feels connected to the rest of historic downtown. Because downtown Perry is a lot more than Carroll Street, and we want to make sure that the businesses and property owners that are investing in those areas feel that way, that it's all the same. So those are the recommendations that staff is putting forth to you all over these next 2 days, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions, council?
Can you talk to us in a little more detail about the stormwater concerns that have been shared? I know that I too have been contacted about flooding concerns over in that area, as well as like just dust and dirt, all kinds of craziness with Interfor and the log trucks coming and going down that way. Like, how does all of that play together with what you're looking at with both stormwater and infrastructure updates?
Sure. I'll be completely honest. I heard those feedbacks and concerns about infrastructure and went and talked to Mr. McMurray and bounced ideas off of him, and he kind of shared the background knowledge with me. I'm not well equipped to answer any infrastructure questions, but I can follow up with him to get those details to you.
Other questions or comments?
Can you go back a
Sure.
slide on that? Exploring public-private partnerships, and Moody Law Firm evidently has some potential partners in this green space. Who owns the green space right now?
Moody Law.
So they own it.
It's a part of her parcel and part of her property there.
So they would like to do this park and then donate it to the city, is that
Possibly.
correct? And then
They
we-
want to do the development of it, but talking about, when I was talking with Miss Moody, talking about how it would be a benefit for all of downtown and all of the city to have an additional green space in the downtown district.
Okay, thank you. I think that was my only question there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is it too early to discuss what that green space might look like?
It was a conversation that we've had in passing with her.
Okay.
She doesn't have, there's no like architect renderings or anything like that.
Okay, thanks.
Questions or comments?
Go ahead, Mr. Peterson.
I did have one in a case like this because that street really is kind of messed up right now. At what point do things like upgraded brick sidewalks and street lighting go in? I'm assuming that's partly a question of affordability when we have the money, but there's a lot of development to be done, and there's a lot of older buildings along that are now going to be freed up. So is the plan that would go in once a lot of those places are cleared off and developed by somebody else, or does that happen first?
Typically what we've seen downtown, I think the perfect test case is the brick sidewalk extension on the Orleans side of Jernigan Street this way. So after Orleans was done with all of their major construction, bringing trucks in and out, then the city went in and updated that to the brick sidewalks and the upgraded street lamps. The same type of project was done going down Main Street towards Morning by Morning. So it's usually after that private development is done, because why would the city go in with brick sidewalks if there's going to be a lot of construction vehicles going over them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. That answers that question.
Mr. Peterson, fortuitous timing of asking that question. I was actually going to bring up two significant infrastructure projects that I think we as a city need to be thinking about, following up on some of Alicia's items here. The first is the pedestrian enhancements, the brick sidewalks and pedestrian lighting, that sort of thing, to go down Jernigan Street. It's always been the city's kind of general practice to follow up private investment with some public investment, and typically downtown, that's sidewalks and lighting, that sort of thing. Also, too, around the corner, where you have the dry cleaners and Ghost Runner and that sort of thing, trying to, eventually, we'd like to have all the sidewalks in the downtown district, the nice brick sidewalks and all of that. Another thing, too, a lot of this is about bringing kind of that side of town more into the fold, and pedestrian, oriented infrastructure improvements, that sort of thing. Something we've talked about in the past that I've always thought would be very beneficial to address a lot of these issues would be landscaped bump outs on Main Street. Because basically what you have right now is where 2nd Street kind of comes in, from there all the way past like community development. I mean, there's a light obviously breaking it up, but cars go pretty fast. It's a bit of a speedway, and there's not a whole lot of greenery or anything. It's very like urban heat island type of thing with wide roads and stuff. So there's a visual that I think lends vehicles to traveling faster than they should. Now, not lately, because police is perpetually there. But generally, people see that kind of wide open straight stretch, and they're going to go a little bit faster, and pedestrians are going to feel comfortable. So bringing in bump outs every so often to slow down, provide some traffic calming, but also to provide some softening, some landscaping, that sort of thing in the downtown area, particularly in that corridor, I think would be beneficial for us to look at.
How would that affect all the logging trucks that use that pretty consistently, though? Does that make it hard for them to get through, or is that okay?
It shouldn't impede the roadway at all. It would basically delete a number of parking spaces on Main Street because you'd be coming in there with the landscape bump out.
Other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 4B is the Office of the City Manager, Mr. Smith. 4A1 is the Airport Partial Heritage Oak Park expansion request.
Thank you, Mayor. You all recall the discussion in the public hearing recently, your most recent meeting on May 5th, relative to the Airport Road project, the parcel coming in as RTH, and the public discussion thereof. Part of that discussion, actually it was two folks that approached you all with comments, actually presented you with an idea that they had. And that idea was that the city would purchase the parcel that was under discussion at the time and incorporate that parcel into an expansion of Heritage Oaks Park. They presented you all with a petition that had a number of signatures and a general kind of framework about what they were envisioning to preserve that space as a public space, a natural space. Something like that, I feel like it's important to get a response back. Since it was delivered to you all in a public meeting, I wanted to provide a response in a public meeting. You have in your e-scribe a memo outlining kind of what was proposed, some considerations relative to that proposal, and then ultimately a recommendation from administration. Let me be very clear on this. I like green space. I like parks. If this were a different time, I think in our kind of life cycle as a city, I think this would be a very fruitful, beneficial option to look at for us. In the past, we've actually looked at expanding Heritage Oaks Park. It's never really come to fruition, obviously, but I generally like the concept. I really do. However, this should not be a significant news flash to you all, but our existing parks, particularly our destination parks, need a whole bunch of work, and we don't have a lot of resources in which to complete that work. So looking at that, look at the possible costs, to purchase that parcel, to make some improvements, to make it accessible to the public, the carrying cost associated with that, all those sorts of things. Administration is recommending that we do not proceed with the purchase of that parcel or exploring the purchase of that parcel. And again, generally freeing up or not taking away funds to be utilized for improvements in our existing parks. That's my big thing, is the opportunity costs. So that's what you have before you. I'll be happy to discuss further if you'd like.
Questions or comments relative to the recommendation?
I concur with the city manager. So.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
I appreciate your work on this, Mr. Smith. You brought up some points that I hadn't even thought about. I was neutral on this. I hadn't really, given it a lot of thought because, discussions with the budget. But you mentioned points that I hadn't even thought of. Specifically, I really was interested in what caught my attention was number 6. Would purchasing the property as outlined result in future pressures or requests for the city to purchase acreage for preservation or green space purposes? And while we don't have the funds to purchase this parcel, we don't even know if it's for sale. If it was for sale, do we really want to expend those funds when, as you pointed out, we need to take care of our existing parks? But do we want to set that precedent too? So I concur with your memo and your recommendation.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Ms. Newby, I don't think we need a vote on this, do we? Okay. So I think I've got concurrence from the council that we ought to pass on this opportunity and work on the parks that we have existing today.
Yes.
So, thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Smith. 4B2 is a discussion of credit card processing convenience fee. Mr. Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council. I think most people are aware that it is not free for a business or anyone who accepts payments to accept credit or debit cards. As a matter of fact, it is the city's single most expensive way for us to accept payments. We currently accept credit card payments for essentially anything that you can pay the city for. I say credit and debit cards. And we average about $1.5 million a month that we bring in on credit or debit cards. The processing fee that we get off that, our current processor is Global Payments, and we pay Global Payments 2.75% of every swipe that goes through our our processes or our payments. So that monthly processing fee is approximately $41,250, or you can annualize that out to about $495,000 a year is what the city has to pay Global to process our credit card payments. Currently, those fees are just baked into the cost of doing business. We do not pass those fees on to anyone in any way, shape, or form, except through what the cost is, or except what we charge as part of the fee. I was asked to look into, should we continue to do that, or should we look at possibly charging a fee for accepting credit and debit cards? In doing some research, it's actually illegal for us to charge a fee for debit cards. That goes back to the Dodd-Frank financial reform back in 2010, 2012, that time frame. But we are allowed to charge it on a credit card if we want to. A couple of the rules there are that the payment, you're not allowed to make a profit off of any convenience fee. So essentially you're capped at whatever you pay for the processing. So for us, that'd be 2.75%. And also in speaking with some folks in the industry, in the credit card processing industry, they said that you will see a shift in people's behaviors, and that just makes sense. If we start charging a credit card fee, people are going to switch to debit card or switch to other form of payment so they don't have to pay that. And looking at the last couple of months, we are essentially right at 50-50 debit card versus credit card payments. And in speaking with folks in the industry, what they generally see is that switches to about 70% debit card payments and 30% credit card. That's not a hard number. That's just a general rule of thumb that they use in this industry. So taking that methodology, I made this simple chart. Just shows that of the $1.5 million, if that was a 70-30% split between credit and debit card sales, we would bring in approximately $450,000 a year in credit cards. Applying the 2.75% processing fee to that, you can see that we could possibly bring in about $12,375 a month. And if you annualize that out, it's approximately $150,000 a month or a year that we could bring in to offset those credit card payments. At this point, I would like to note that the city offers multiple ways to pay. You don't have to use a credit or a debit card. Shameless plug, if anyone wants to sign up for Auto ACH, that is the city's single cheapest way to accept payments. And we'll do it automatically. You don't even have to remember to pay the bill. We'll just pull it out of your account once a month. And none of these payment methods are charged or will ever be charged a fee if you wanted to pay. So that's essentially what I'm looking at here. I was asked to look into this. If we were to implement something like this, we could possibly offset some of our credit card charges or credit/debit card processing fees of $495,000 a year to the tune of $150,000-ish a year. If this is something that council wanted to pursue, essentially the next steps would be in the FY27 budget, we would just put a revenue line in for $148,500. That would go into the general fund to offset those credit card processing fees. We would also amend the city's fee schedule to include a 2.75% convenience or transaction fee on credit cards, and we'd begin engaging with our credit card processor partners to implement that. There are some rules about when you implement this. You have to give a 30-day notice. You have to put signs up in your at your front door and where you accept the actual payment that says that you're going to charge it, how much it is, and that you're only going to do it for credit card payments. That's pretty much what I've got. Like I said, next steps would be you guys can think about this. We can bring it back at a future date. If you guys are ready to act on this, I can begin the process. If you need further information, I'm happy to look it up.
Okay, just two things.
Yeah.
So just to repeat what you said, this is not like bringing money into the city. Like we're not making money on this.
We're offsetting a real charge.
You're paying your processing fee if you choose to use a credit card if we go this way.
Correct.
So on the previous slide where it says multiple ways to pay, you can pay with cash, you can pay with check. I assume you could pay with a money order. You could pay auto ACH bank draft, or you could pay with your debit card.
Correct.
Not a credit card, but a debit card. So there would actually be 5 ways to pay with no additional fee. The only thing that the fee would apply to is if you choose to use your credit card.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And the only thing we would charge would be what we are charged to process that, which is the percentage of the amount that you're spending.
That's correct. Now, one thing I did not mention is if you guys wanted to go this route, an additional step I would take is actually engage with global payments. Currently, we pay that same 2.75%, whether it's a debit or credit card. We are allowed to negotiate that, and what most people do in these situations is they will negotiate a lower rate on debit cards and a higher rate on credit cards. So if we were to do that, let's say if we renegotiated down to where we're paying 3% on credit cards and 2.5% on debit cards, we could pass that full 3% on if we wanted to. But that would just be an additional step that we would use to save the city some more money.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this is standard practice in most places, correct?
I don't want to say most, but it is a practice that a lot of people use. I do know the county charges this fee on their bills. A lot of restaurants and places that you go to nowadays have started charging this fee. Some of the cons that you do here is that there's certain folks that really like to use their credit cards and get those mileage points and stuff like that. So they'll be pushed back. They feel like they get nickeled and dimed. But to offset that, I would say we have multiple ways to pay that you wouldn't get charged the fee. So
I think if it saves us money, it's worth pursuing. That's how I feel.
Yes, sir. Did I hear you say that we have to pay a processing fee, whether it's a credit or debit card, to global processing?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But we cannot pass that on to the...
If it's accepted as a debit card payment, then no, we are not allowed to pass that on.
But we still have to pay it.
We do still have to pay it. So the cheapest way for the city to accept any form of payment is auto ACH. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the previous slide, or I think it's probably the first slide. So we're paying $41,250 a month
on average, yes, sir.
On average, which annualizes about almost $500,000.
Yes, sir.
And then your third slide, I couldn't understand this slide, but the numbers, the way it's just created, it looked confusing to me. Can you summarize what?
Sure.
This is what it would be.
The chart. Yeah, this is what it would be. So essentially, assuming that we still take in $1.5 million a month in sales, industry standard is that if you do charge a fee, it turns into about 70% of people will use their debit cards, and about 30% will still use their credit cards, even if you charge the fee.
So what is the red, the 148.5? Does that mean we'd be in the red that much?
No, that's the amount of money that we could save.
That's why you highlighted it.
Yes, sir, just to make it. I probably could have used a different color than red, because red does normally mean a loss. I'm sorry.
So we're not going to save $495,000.
No, sir. We will still pay $495,000 a year to process credit and debit cards, but it will be offset by $148,000 in fees that we collected from those credit card users.
So you're still going to be paying $346.
So thank you, Mayor. So that middle number, 346.5, is what we're paying. We would realize a save at 70% going to debit. We would save 148.5.
Yes, sir.
We could save more if we can negotiate with Global to reduce the debit
Because
card fee.
I would ask as we set this, if this is what you guys want to pursue, I would probably propose that the fee, we don't name a percent. We just say that we're going to charge whatever we get charged by Global. That way, if it ever does change, it gives us that leeway to renegotiate and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I don't need to think about this. I mean, this is good. Anywhere we can save money, that's a good thing.
Okay.
Reverend King, I think. Did you have something, Reverend King? Okay, Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, that still is a staggering number we have to pick up on this. I guess we could run with the threat of revolution and just say we're not going to accept any debit card payments. But that would save it all. But I know that's probably not the most realistic.
I'll let you make the announcement.
I'm gonna need a couple more staff members if we're counting dollars every day instead of just accepting cards.
My real question was, I was being facetious there, but my real question is, what is the next step? Is this like something we have to vote on with a resolution? resolution? Sorry about that. Got that on my mind right now.
No, sir. I believe that it would
that-
be the action you all would need to take. I think, if Brooke agrees, would be we to add it to the city's fee schedule, and once you guys adopt that new fee schedule is when it would kick in.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
Would that be in time for the 1 July budget?
That's what I'm shooting for.
Okay.
So we have to give the credit card processors a 30-day notice. That's part of the process. So if you guys tell me tonight, I'll get my team working on implementing this as soon as possible, with a goal of as early as we can get it done. Legally, 30 days from now would be the
Because,
earliest.
Yes, sir.
You will be voting on it when you vote on your ordinance for your budget, because it'll be part of the fee schedule that
Yeah,
you'll approve.
yeah, that's the second piece to this is we will add $148,000 in revenue, or $148,500 to the general fund as part of the budget process.
That's what, I'm gonna ask the question, is that gonna require a vote to do that, or is that a concurrence? Yeah. Ordinance. Okay, so if this is the consensus of the group, then Mr. Worthington has the permission to move forward to put it into the budget plan.
But if we're not voting on the budget until the middle of June, that doesn't give the 30 days for the July 1
It'll probably
start.
sometime be August before we can implement it.
So is there a way to vote on it separately tomorrow so that they can move forward and get their communications in order and all of that? Then we would obviously vote on the budget.
Could we bring a amendment to the fee schedule tomorrow, just adding this one line item with an effective date of July 1?
I'm just thinking that would help them, it sounds like, because that would keep it cleaner. That would be a July 1 start with the budget year, and then that would give the 30 days notice as well.
Yeah, we can bring in a business that was brought forward from our work session for a vote tomorrow.
That'd be good. And I might note, the numbers you put in your chart are estimates based on.
They are,
where it
yes,
is.
sir.
But right now, it's at 50/50. So we really don't know where they go. So that would
No,
be
the 70,
an
30.
estimated minimum savings. It could be more. Could be half of that.
Could be less, I guess.
Or it
if
could be less. Yeah, that's
Depends
true.
on how important your mileage is, your air miles.
I guess so.
Like I said, I would imagine as we roll this out, we'll probably do some communications and stuff, letting people know, hey, we're going to charge this, but also if you want to sign up for auto ACH, you can. We'd love for you to. So.
But that want to be my main concern. As you just said, I wasn't going to say anything, but like you said, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we need to keep the public informed. So like you said, we won't cold turkey nobody. They'll come in and they having a fit, you know what I mean? So it's important. And that's one thing I learned a long time ago. I got automatic draft, you know what I mean? Because I had to do that because I was paying too much late fee. Because I forget. And so I figured I need some help. And I think that's a good thing you're saying, you know what I mean? And maybe everybody can't be able to do that, though. But I'm grateful that I'm able to do it, you know what I mean?
And I would like to point out one thing we did think about on this is, there's certain socioeconomic folks who maybe don't have a bank account. They have the prepaid cards that they use kind of as a debit card. Those are considered debit cards on the swipe, so they would not be charged a fee. So you're not passing this on to folks who maybe can't afford it.
We will add it to the agenda tomorrow night for amendment to our fee scale
Thank you.
schedule. Thank you, Mr. Worthington. Item 4C is department budget hearings. Who's going to conduct that? Mr. Smith or Mr. Worthington? Me? I don't have anything to conduct it with. I didn't get a script.
No, it's just an opportunity for the department heads to come and speak to you all, about their budget, what was requested, what's being recommended at this time, any concerns they might have, some forward-thinking, issues, that sort of stuff. This evening, it is the forward-facing kind of frontline departments that interact with the public, and then tomorrow it will be the more internal support departments and outside agencies. So, Mayor, just kind of,
Okay.
let Chief Parker's raring to go over here.
Chief's got his script already, so Chief, we're going to let you go first. No more new, no more trucks.
This ought to be pretty simple since you just got $148,000 added to the budget, so. I couldn't make a PowerPoint, so I'm giving you guys a handout so you can kind of follow along. And I figured since I came first that I'd get everything and PD wouldn't get anything. I'm joking. All right. Thank you for the opportunity. Like Mr. Smith said, this was an opportunity to kind of go over what we requested in our budget. And since, we did go through a lot of trouble or staff hours to have input into this, I thought it was important to come before you to discuss it tonight. So you can see there, first page, since the fire department is funded out of two funds, the first is the general fund. You see there we got about a $2.162 million budget. That's what was recommended by the city manager and finance. So basically, approved out of that budget, or recommended for approval, was the items listed there. And I won't go through all of them unless you have a question about them. And then there's the items that were denied or not approved. Of course, we understood that this was going to be a tight budget. Personnel were not going to be approved, but I felt it was my due diligence to let you know that I feel like as the fire chief, we do need additional personnel to get to where we need to be. And we understand that can be, it may be years ahead before we get there, but I don't want time to go by and we don't ask for it, and then it's a surprise later on. You go, well, gee, Chief, you never told us you needed that. So, but I do want to put that in there. Again, we did ask for 3 additional personnel at about $170,000. The other items there that we'd asked for was an increase for membership costs for the fire marshal's office. Basically, that was for some new fire investigators that we have. They've gone to get the training, and now they would need to maintain that training throughout the year so they can get their certification hours in. So that was kind of the membership cost there, or actually membership for them to be a part of that association, Fire Investigators Association. Increase for some supplies in the fire marshal's office. Basically there, we were looking at, community outreach, things that we do to the public, everything from the fire helmets that we give the kids, crayons, coloring books, those kind of things that we get every year, and we give those out. Of course, with the increase in population, we do more of those events. We want to give out more stuff to the general public. And also, part of that too, we do our annual Junior Fire Academy, so some of those resources would be used there as well. And then, of course, we'd ask for an increase for uniforms. The uniform that I'm wearing now, you're talking almost $500 for just pants and a shirt. And again, we asked for that increase for all the personnel for there. When you look at it totally, what was approved, a net increase to the general fund of 0.17%. That was at $36.50. So very, very small increase that was approved there. And again, we're grateful for the increase that we did get. Looking at the second page there, the fire fee, the Fire Protection Utility Fund, that brings in, or what's recommended is about $4.1 million. The things that were approved there, you can see, I won't have to read all those to you. Then the things that were denied, of course, the first one there was a copier rental. We feel like we can work around that. We've looked at some items in our budget, and we feel like we can work around the copy rental. Also, the fire alarm monitoring, that's one of those things that's required. Some cost had moved around on that, but again, we think we would be okay without that funding there. But one of the things there was the GIS mapping. We asked for an increase there. That's where we give money to ESG each month to do our GIS data, which would be mapping, what we might call a heat map. Where are we having all these calls at? So we could look at it in a GIS fashion. And then, of course, we did ask for uniforms in that budget as well. So total denied about $8,300 worth of items. And then, of course, one of the capital expenses that we had asked for was a new shift commander vehicle. That vehicle is still running right now. It does have 84,000 miles on it, and the transmission is starting to slip. When if you know anything about that, you kind of get on the gas a little bit, and engine revs up before the gear changes to go. So we are having some issues with that. However, we understand, it may be less expensive to replace the transmission than it is to purchase the new vehicle. So you can see there, again, I listed the net increase for that fund. About 0.12% was what was approved there. If you turn to the next page, if you were to ask me for a priority of the items that were denied, I would say, the GIS mapping information there so we can maintain vital statistics. The membership cost so that we can ensure that our new fire investigators are taken care of there. And then the $500 increase in supplies so that we can do some additional community relation type stuff. And then, of course, the fourth priority being the shift commander vehicle. And, that would be the top four if we were going to approve anything else. But wanted to let you know that. And then, of course, the last page there kind of gives you an idea real quick about, our population has grown from 2014 to 2026, from 15,000 to about 27,000. And in that time, when I got here in 2016, we were at 42 personnel. We are 46 personnel to date. And that's converting one of our secretary positions to a training officer position. So 46, and then you can see also the amount of emergency responses have increased over that time. So we're on track right now with 1,236 through April. We're probably going to be close to 4,000 calls again this year if we kind of stay on track with that. So I would ask that, as you move forward with the approving the budget, and also the main thing I wanted to make sure I included there was, as you look at your comprehensive plan moving forward, I would ask that, fire protection be a big piece, or at least a portion that you consider in that comprehensive plan moving forward. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you for putting this summary together. This is quick and easy and down and dirty. Thank you for that. I want to ask, especially on the personnel thing, because I know we're probably on hold for that.
Yes.
But what are kind of the yardsticks that you use to determine, well, I need 3 more personnel?
Okay. Yes, sir. The main one that we use is the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA. They put out a standard that's called NFPA 1710. Basically, that standard says that for your typical house fire, you need about 17 bodies on the fire ground to handle that fire. Okay, right now our minimum staffing is 13, so we have 13 bodies to put on that fire. So basically, when you look at and what the NFPA would show you in a graph is that, okay, you're going to have this pumper responding. Guys are going to get off, and they're going to take a line inside the door. Okay, that's going to be your fire attack. You're going to have somebody else doing search and rescue. Somebody else is going to have to ladder the building to put up ladders and those kind of things. So all the jobs that have to be done, including incident command, all those kind of things, that requires a number of people to do that. So if you want to get all the jobs done, you got to have all the people. So basically what we're saying is, if we don't have all the people, then there's some jobs not going to get done, or it's going to have to get done by the same people. So in other words, fire attack crew may go in and knock the fire down, then they have to come back out a little bit, put a new air pack on, and go back in and do a search, a secondary search of the structure, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So
And this would be like one person per shift, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay.
The 3 we asked for would be 1 per shift. So that would get us to 14. So we'd still be short of the 17 total, but yes, sir.
The other question I had was regarding the GIS mapping. That, as I understand, we obtain that from GWES, is that correct?
No, sir, ESG.
Oh, ESG, they do
ESG.
that for us, okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
this is because they have gone up on what it cost for them to
Yes, sir, we pay
provide?
them an hourly rate for that. They have, I don't know what you call it, a technician that takes our data that we give them, and we pay an hourly rate for that. So 1 month, it may only take them 2 hours to do it. The next month, it may take them 5 hours to do it. But we just got one today, and it was for 10 hours. So at, about $115 an hour, that's expensive. So when we send that data to them, then they take it and, put it in their format that they use, put it in a GIS readable information, but it's all based on an hourly rate. And that just changes based on the month.
So does that mean without this $3,000, we ultimately will get the information, it'll just be delayed because we can't afford the hours? Is that how that works?
Well, yes, sir, or either that or we'll get to a point where if we don't pay them, they will probably tell us, we're not going to give you the information. We'll send them the information. They may say, well, we can't put it in a format for you if you're not paying us to do it. So I'm not real sure about that.
Had a question for Mr. Smith on that. We do multiple things with the GWES, obviously with the water and sewer, and I didn't realize they did this for us.
ESG.
ESG. Do they do any other things like this for us?
ESG?
Yes.
No, sir. ESG obviously handles our operations for water, wastewater, natural gas. That incorporates a number of different functions. They have an engineering division that handles the GIS stuff for us. We have a master contract with them on an annual basis. One of the reasons, and again, I have to go back and look, that the increase was not recommended was because I was looking at our annual contract, and for the past number of years, we had not utilized the amount allocated for that annual contract insofar as what was billed to us and what we paid out. So I didn't see a need to really increase it.
Okay.
And then the second thing there is they've done in the past a number of water-related projects for us in their engineering division. They actually are very familiar with our water system and actually done some of the master modeling. And they're actually right now working on our water master plan that should be coming back to you all this summer. So,
Right. Thank
yes, sir.
you. And one last question here that I wanted to ask Mr. Worthington. The $4,126,300 estimated revenue that comes from our fire fee, correct?
Let me get to the right page. Hold on.
That was the one the chief just handed out.
That's total expenses.
I'm sorry?
That's the total expenses in the fire fund. Yes, sir.
Okay, and does that, when you give us that number, does that include an estimated increase in the amount of fire protection fees we're getting? Seems like our business model, we're estimating growth at 400 ERUs a year, I guess.
Yes, sir.
would be
The
best way
revenue
to put it.
figures do.
And so that includes that?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I was going to say, that's an additional 118,000 of revenue, so that's not bad. Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Other questions or comments?
Yes, sir. I noticed that I believe our ISO is 3.
3, correct.
Okay. With the 3 additional personnel that was denied, would that affect our ISO rating at all?
Yes, sir. It would. Now, I can't guarantee it would go lower, but it would affect their scoring. So there's a lot of things that go into the scoring. So I'm not going to make any guarantees, but yes, sir. Adding personnel would definitely change the scoring that they use for personnel.
How often is that done?
About every 5 years.
Okay.
So we're due in the next probably couple years.
I think 21 was the last one. If I remember, the way time
Yes, sir.
gets away from us.
That's right,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Is the police department ready?
Yes, sir. That's pretty easy. Mayor, council, I come to you tonight, I understand that, you know, we look at budgets and we look at cuts and trying to maintain and do a lot of things, and everybody's job is important. Unfortunately, in the world of law enforcement, technology has got to be, outside of personnel, the #1 cost we deal with. Everybody carries a phone or a tablet or multiple phones, and criminals use these to take advantage of people, run their drug operations, whatever the case may be. At the same time, victims are often taken advantage of through the use of technology. Whether I bet there's no one in this room tonight that hadn't got a text or a message or an email that talks about you didn't pay a ticket, you used the Peach Pass improperly, whatever scam they got, jury duty, whatever the case happens. Scam cases are growing faster than any other thing we have. And it's not just here, it's across the nation. We have made a concerted plan to address these issues and try to investigate these cases. But to do that, it takes software and hardware to do it. We've been very blessed in Perry with the amount of technology we have and the training our officers have taken to be efficient and effective. If we lose some software, there's some things that's going to be impacted, especially on the investigative side of things. And it's going to reduce the department's ability to solve crimes, delay investigations and evidence processing, and basically we've invested money in training people that we will not have the softwares to do. We can go to the GBI and send stuff to them. We send it today, we may get it back in September, October, November. But as a victim, they don't want to wait till September, October, and November. They want their case answered yesterday. If you work in a major criminal investigation like a homicide or a major drug operation, we get search warrants for telephones for those that have been involved or suspected to be involved. Most of them do not give us their password to get into their cell phone. So we use devices like GrayKey, which is a mobile device extrication, to break into these phones, for lack of a better description, when they don't want to give you the code. And this device allows us to get in and get the information. And it's not a 5-minute process most of the time. You know, if they got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe that's pretty good, but there's millions of combinations, and this device helps go through that. I believe that GrayKey, and we've worked out an agreement with them to reduce the number of potential uses, because they charge you by the number of uses. They have packages, and $35,450 is what we had budgeted for this year. We've been in contact with GrayKey as late as today to reduce that cost down to around $13,000. Now, it's going to reduce the number of times we can use it. So there's going to be some cases we can't use it on. We're going to have to try to prioritize what we can do with it. But without GrayKey, the department loses timely access to important evidence, whether it's a violent crime, narcotics investigation, child exploitation, missing persons, or death investigation of any kind. And I'm asking if possible, we could find the $13,000 to add into the budget. The secondary software that we implemented the drone program, we were able to pay for the drone program separate from city funds. We were able to pay for the software. Software's gone up a little bit. It's $1,800 for drone UAS operations. It's called DJI Flight Hub 2.
I've been amazed at how many times we've used the drone in the short period of time we have it in service. But as of last Thursday, we were working a series of enter and autos that occurred in our industrial complexes here in Perry, where they were coming at night while people were working and breaking into their cars. We were able to get a possible suspect, identify them through some video and some flock access, and eventually got enough information to believe to get a search warrant for a residence in Taylor County. One of these was a convicted felon who had a weapon. The other young man was not a convicted felon. He's out on bond for a felony. And he also had a semi-automatic rifle in his possession. We were able to deploy this drone in partnership with Taylor County while we surveilled their home in Taylor County. We couldn't drive up on it without getting pretty much made out that early, that far out, kind of a rural area. And we were able to observe them, and when they left, we were able to take them down without anyone getting hurt, them or us, subsequently serving a search warrant on the house and then the car, and we found evidence of multiple crimes here and other places, and we're looking at federal charges on one of the suspects involved. So the drone has saved lives. We found people with missing drones. We had the autistic child go missing off of Morningside. We use the drone for that as well. This software helps us operate, track, make sure we're using it properly, and we've invested in the software. We've invested into the training and the hardware. And if there's a way possible for this $1,800 could be added back into the budget, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Questions, council members?
To offset some of that, Chief, and I think you and I talked about a couple of these items when we met. I just want to bring these two up. The increase in copier rental for the police TAC office. First of all, I think copiers are possessed by demons. I just want to say that. But is that something that can be bid out? Is it something that can be minimized, or?
Well, we're trying to figure out a way to minimize it. I won't say that they're possessed, but I will tell you the system that does on copiers is a money pit.
Right.
So we were meeting again today to try to figure out if we move one to a certain place, can we get rid of one?
Okay.
And I think based off our last conversation about 4:30 this afternoon, that's the potential.
Okay.
You know, the other side of that is when you get rid of that lease, the copy numbers are going to go up, so those costs are going to go up. And so some of that savings is going to be offset by expenses, by additional prints.
Okay. And then the other line item I had, the increase for lawn care in the police CID. Is that something we can do in-house, I'm wondering?
Well, last year that was not budgeted at all, and there was a contract signed by the city to cut the grass. We generally don't have any say in that end of it. So I guess that's going to be a public works decision whether they could cut that grass. I don't want to speak for their services.
Okay. Those are the only line items I had, but I thought those might be ways to save some money there.
Following up on your question there, Councilmember Jones, and what Chief said, what you see in the budget this year for the CID facility is basically kind of actualizing the costs associated of the city operating that facility. You know, we haven't been in there very long, so now that we've been able to determine, kind of set a baseline for the cost of that facility, that's what that is. Insofar as us maintaining, you know, our facilities and things, we could certainly look at it. But I will say, you know, our folks are already, you know, spread pretty thin, and I don't know. Something we are looking at doing, however, is going out to bid on a number of our lawn care, right-of-way maintenance contracts, those sorts of things, just to make sure that we are getting a competitive price on that.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to understand, make sure I understand what Gray Key does. This means that when a mobile phone is seized
and it's locked,
this allows, we send it to somebody.
Well, we actually use Gray Key. We have a Gray Key here, and we use it. if we were to send it, like I said before, we'd be sending it to the GBI or DOC, and, you know, their cases become priority, and I understand that. And 6, 8, 9 month response is not unusual.
But because we have Gray Key, but you're limited, the more times you use that, is that software? Is that what that is?
Well, it's actually a hardware and a software. You connect the phone to it, and it starts running the codes through it to try to break the device.
So the more times you use it, that's what would make the cost increase.
Right.
Is that okay? The other question I had is, what does the software proposed? What does it do that is not happening with drone use right now?
Well, you know, when we put them up in the air, we also have risk around us. So it tracks everything around. If there's an aircraft coming in sight, it lets you know there's an aircraft coming in sight. So it tracks how high we are, how fast we run, and where we're at. So if there comes to be a question down the road where we're using it properly or improperly, it will GPS locate exactly where we are, what our altitude was, how long it was up, and any, you know, if somebody was complaining we were peeking in somebody's backyard, it could tell you that's not exactly correct.
All right, I think that's my only. I guess and it would be really a question for Chief Parker as well. Just having been exposed to both y'all's forces in the recent past here, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you say we, within our budgets and everything, are protecting our personnel to do their jobs?
I think we do a pretty good job about it. You know, there's always, you want something, but there are departments that do not provide vests. There are departments that are wearing vests that are outdated. We don't do that. We have a pretty good fleet of cars, although with some of the cuts, you're going to see some maintenance costs go up. We patrol between 36 and 42,000 miles a month on average throughout the department. So we're going to see some maintenance costs go up. But from a general standpoint on how we protect our officers, tasers, optics on weapons, tactical rifles, ballistic body armor, it was recommended for the rifle plate, which, as I mentioned just a minute ago, one of the gentlemen we arrested in Taylor County last week had a rifle that would have penetrated our vest if he chose to pull the trigger.
Would that be the same for you, Chief Parker?
Yes, sir. I would say very much so. I believe the equipment that we're allowed to purchase currently, our turnout gear, the fact that y'all have let us purchase 3 new large apparatus over the last couple of years has greatly benefited our response capability, and we're very appreciative of that. And I think our guys, from their gear that they wear to the training that they get, is top notch, and they're very prepared for anything.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess, and where I was going with that is, I mean, it seems to me like there's several objectives out there. One is just how much do we protect our people trying to do these dangerous jobs. Then there's the whole other category of, I mean, there's always more equipment, I know, that could be had, and there's how efficiently can they do the job. I know this whole CAD thing has been really instrumental in them doing their reports, as I understand. I mean, that's tremendous what the time savings I've seen on that. So, but I know it can always be better, so it never gets to that perfection stage.
Definitely.
Appreciate
Other
y'all's
questions or
work.
comments? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Who's next? Leisure Services or Public Works?
Leisure Services or Public Works?
Do you have any comments?
No comment tonight on the general fund budget. No, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Shoemate?
No comment
Okay.
tonight.
Anyone else that's on the list? Mr. Smith? Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Item 5 are council member items. Dr. Faust?
I just want y'all to join me in congratulating Reverend King on his 38th anniversary of being pastor at Faith Bible Fellowship. I was honored to be able to join yesterday for the reception, and I know that's not really a city council piece, but it is because he represents his church and our community every day. So if you'll join me in congratulating him.
Congratulations. Okay. Mr. Jones? Dr. Albritton? Mr. Moody?
I have none.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Only question I have at this point is, okay, we've heard some requests for, kind of what is the next step in that?
You can make a recommendation that you would want to add it back to the budget or not.
Okay.
That's up to the council. They have asked you for, your consideration, and if you think you have room in the budget, that.
And then the council would vote to either run with that or not run with it?
You'd have.
Is that how that would work? As an amendment? As an amendment or addition to the next budget we're going to see?
You all would just let us know to include it in the budget, and we would do so.
Okay.
And it'd be basically like a concurrence of the body, saying they want to fund this, like the gray key or something like that we would just include it in.
Thank you.
But if you'll let us know your preferences, then we'll do that. Mr. King? Okay. Mr. Smith, do you have anything additional for us?
Yes, sir, I do, Mayor. One item, this is in anticipation of tomorrow evening in the budget hearings. In addition to the internal, more support function departments here at the city, also the outside agencies that we provide annual allocations to will have the opportunity to come speak with you. I don't know who's going to be here from the outside agencies. I do know that Mr. Marquardt with the airport will be here. He really relishes this opportunity every year. But outside of that, I'm not sure. But I did want to put together a basic breakdown of the requests that we received for FY27, the requests, and then what is actually being recommended. And I do have some notes here that I kind of wanted to run through with you all very quickly if you had a second. The first is the CVB. You can see the large discrepancy in what was requested and what is being recommended. We're not exactly sure what constituted the request that we received. However, the 729,700 is actually the state mandated required percentage for TCT that is shifted over to operate the CVB. That's based on projected revenues in the hotel motel tax fund. Second bullet point here. The Chamber of Commerce, they actually submitted two separate requests this year. They submitted the $3,000 request for the city's all-in membership that I discussed a couple of meetings ago, where staff and the city officials and things would be able to participate in all their events and all of that under one $3,000 lump sum, which is actually probably less than we'll end up spending this year on those events separately. But they also submitted a request for $15,000 for marketing of the Dogwood Festival. Administration is not recommending providing $15,000 to the chamber to market the Dogwood Festival. However, we spend generally $12,000 to $14,000 annually on providing direct support to the Dogwood Festival. That's our public works folks, police, fire, that sort of thing. So we are recommending $15,000 be allocated to the chamber for Dogwood Festival. And they'd be required to actually reimburse the city's costs on that, and then kind of whatever's left they can utilize for marketing or something like that, if that makes sense. Funding for the Perry Area Historical Society. Last year we provided, or this current fiscal year, $12,500, and we're actually recommending that remain the same going into this next fiscal year, despite the request for $15,000. And then the allocation for the airport, again, I mentioned this. Instead of coming out of the general fund, will come out of Peach County T-Splost and utilized for capital improvements at the airport. So just again, wanted to get this out to you all. This is something we hadn't really provided in the past, but I wanted you to have kind of a concise breakdown about the outside agencies and what they're requesting from the city.
Why the increase, Robert, in the Middle Georgia Regional Commission from 27, which they requested, to 33 being the recommendation?
Yes, so that's a good point, Councilmember Jones. Thank you. And it didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to, but the organizations that are highlighted in the green, we're actually required to provide an allocation to those organizations. And one of those is the Regional Commission. The Regional Commission, as you all know, is basically a state-created organization, and as a member city of the Middle Georgia Regional Commission, we're required to pay dues to the Regional Commission. I think it's $1.10 per person. So these figures here are based on what we determine to be our current population and the current dues structure. Yes, sir.
Anything else, Mr. Smith?
No, sir, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Worthington? Nothing tonight. Ms. Newby, do you have anything for us? Okay. Item 6 are department head and staff. Mr. Worthington, Ms. Wharton? Mr. Coates? Okay. Chief?
Yes, Mayor and Council, one quick item just to let you and the public know that the Fire Department has taken applications for the 2026 Junior Fire Academy. Applications will be accepted through May 31st. I believe we probably have over 20 applicants already, and so we're looking forward to a good Junior Fire Academy this year. We take, upcoming 7th and 8th graders, put them through about 4 or 5 days of training on how to be a firefighter, what it's like, those kind of things. And each year we've done it so far, they've really enjoyed it and had a great time. And we're looking forward to doing it again this year. So if you know anybody that's a rising 7th or 8th grader and you want to get an application in, it'll be a competitive process, but we'd love to have as many applicants as we can. But we'll limit the class to around probably 20 people. So anyway, we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Everidge?
Well, I just want to remind everybody, graduation's Thursday and Friday. General Courtney Hodges, with the bridge construction, W.F. Reagan being closed, you can expect some delays, significant backups in town because of that. So if you plan on going to graduation, communications department's put something out, they may have done this afternoon, to try to warn people. We're going to have, or they're going to have people running the traffic control boxes at the off-ramp at the Marshville Road exit, and again at Courtney Hodges and Larry Walker to try to speed up the process of getting traffic out. But they can only get off the road as fast as they get into the parking lot. There will be a lot of people going. So if you're going to the graduation, allow a little extra time, have a little patience. And if you don't have to go to that side of town during the graduation, just try to avoid it. Use the interstate to get through town. Thank you.
Sir, could I ask Chief Everidge something on that point?
Yes, sir.
Chief, would you recommend going down, say, taking I-75 to South Perry Parkway? Might that be less congested?
Well, I would recommend that. I'm not sure how much less congested it's going to be, although we're recommending people to use the 134 exit to try to not put everybody at the 135. We've seen graduation back up to past Thompson Road on the interstate before. There's a, one graduation starts and another one starts tending in, and so there's quite a bit of traffic. There's 7,000 or 8,000 people come for each one of those graduations. So it rolls a lot of people through Perry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Schumett? Ms. Clark? Okay. Ms. Warren, anything? Okay. Item 7 are mayor items. Again, I just remind you that all of our meetings are open to the public, and we encourage your interest and participation. Our next meeting will be tomorrow night here in this council at 5 o'clock with pre-council and 6 o'clock with our regular council meeting. Item 8 is executive session. We do have a requirement this evening for a couple of items. One would be real estate and the other one is pending litigation. Is that correct, Mrs. Newby? Okay. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We are in executive session at this time.